want to discuss halal. Halal food. What is it? Basically, it's corruption. What happens? All of our food chain now in the UK and parts of Europe have been infested by this thing called halal. All it is basically, it's food that Muslims are allowed to eat that has been graced by Allah. It's a load of nonsense. Why do we need that? Basically, companies now are being pressurised to provide halal for Muslims, of which is about 4% of the UK population, by the way. Companies like big food companies like Kraft, Heinz, even your restaurants like Nando's and places like that, KFCs are all halal now. I'm not even sure of the law on advertising. I know that Nando's do tell you if a place is halal or not. But what's going on basically in supermarkets? I'm finding out more and more things. I've just found out that Heinz beans now are halal. That means that basically Heinz pay to have their products registered to be halal products with Muslim associations, so that means that year on year they have to pay a fee, and then written out a certificate by these Muslim associations which pass off their products as suitable to eat for Muslims, basically. They have to pay an exorbitant fee for that. It's not just halal. People think when they think of halal, they just think of halal meat, but that's not the case. Halal is a totally barbaric and unnecessary ritually slaughtered meat, of course, which must be abolished and must be banned as soon as possible, in my opinion. I've seen the videos of cows and sheep being slaughtered by halal methods, and it's totally heinous, totally disgusting, abhorrent, bloodthirsty, massacring, totally causing the animal much distress and totally unnecessary pain and anxiety. We don't need it in this country. This is a civilised nation before Muslims arrived here. We have ways of doing things. We have UK standards amongst the finest in the world. We don't need none of this halal rubbish. It's a load of crap. It's a load of bollocks. So take it back. If you want that, Muslims, take it back to a halal. Take it back to a land, a Muslim land, where they do that sort of shit, because we don't want it in this country, okay? What do we get out of it? Well, what it does, it produces, it supports an industry of which only Muslims can work in halal food business. Muslims aren't allowed. Non-Muslims, aren't allowed to work in this business, and so therefore that's another way that they're increasing their power over the infidel in our own lands. I mean, how dimmified are we? The actual amount of dimitude in this country astounds me. It's staggering, absolutely staggering that we allow this to continue. That politicians aren't listening to the people or doing anything about it. I'm absolutely amazed and appalled. I don't honestly think that much of the public, or many of the public, actually understand what actually, because I've spoken to many people on different forums and things on the internet. I don't think people understand the actual implications of halal and what actually is involved with it, with the slaughtering method. It's totally disgusting. It takes animals minutes, maybe as much as 8 minutes, 10 minutes to die, with their throat slit ear to ear. They're turned upside down, their feet are locked together, tied together. They're hung up in the air and left to bled out in agony, searing pain in the throat, blood dripping out of them. It's just horrible. Horrible to watch. I witnessed it. You can't tell me that those other animals there aren't panicking, seeing the other animals being slaughtered. They know exactly what's going to happen to them. So, and the kosher method's similar. That's the same. So I'd like to see that banned as well, to be honest. And this subjugation and the way they're trying to take over and impose it in our schools and institutions, it's just It's a total takeover. It's a bit like what they're doing with the Birmingham method of trying to take over schools. It's total Islamification of Europe, of the UK. It's another way to subjugate and the non-Muslims, make us pay the jizya tax, which infidels must pay to live in non-Muslim lands. Because their ideas, basically, they have an idea and a dream, and that dream is for this country to become part of the caliphate and become an independent Islamic state, and they have that dream for all the world. And if you don't believe it, you better start reading up and learning the facts about halal and what it actually is rather than what it isn't. And that's all I have to say on this matter. I'm astounded that people still think there's nothing wrong with it, and there's many other things that, when spoken to the public, basically was saying that female genital mutilation is okay as well. So I think that the ignorance out there is astounding, and we need to get the message out and do something about this, because every day I'm reading different stuff and seeing the power that they're just basically getting more and more power. Nobody's doing anything about it. We need somebody in power now. I'm not even sure if UKIP can do it, to be honest, but they are our best bet at the minute, and we need somebody to stand up that's strong enough for the British people and to say enough's enough, we're not having any more of this. If I was in power, I'd be doing that. So maybe I should get into politics. Somebody needs to do something, because at the minute nobody's saying anything about Muslims, and it needs saying. Goodbye. Also, the most important thing as well about halal is that it funds jihad globally. It funds terror, basically. How this happens, all of the money apportioned from halal goes into a thing called zakat, which is the obligation of every Muslim business that sells halal and gains from it must pay into the zakat, which is divided 8 times amongst things such as Islamic charities. There are other things as well. 1/8 of those, though, must of that halal money must go towards the global jihad, basically, and terrorism. So basically, they're imposing their ways on us, imposing halal on us. We don't have a choice, and if we kick off about it, then we're the ones in the wrong. So they're telling us we must have halal. They're spreading it out all over, taking pork off the menus, and then not only are they doing that, they're us dhimmis are paying for our own downfalls by funding jihad globally. So basically, we're paying them to make war on us. How does that work, eh? You work it out.